Video number 2 is live on the air. Hey, it's Kevin Knecht back for our 3-part series, Facebook for Marketers, 101, 102, and 103. Appreciate you watching here. Now, if you're just tuning in and you thought, man, I missed video number 1, definitely find the link to go back to video number 1. There's a lot of information that you must have that you can apply on video number 2. So let's get out of here. And as you're watching my screen, I'm looking at the camera here, but the action is also up here while I'm looking here. So make sure you're looking up there, and we'll have some fun along the way. And you may even want to open up your Facebook account as you're going through this training so you can actually make the adjustments as we're going through. And the recording is actually pausable, so you can pause and of course take the actions as we're going through it. But I am going to move pretty fast here, okay? So here's what we're going to discuss on this series here today is what kind of content should you be posting. We're going to focus on content. And then when you come back for video number 3 is how to grow your Facebook account so you can really start generating a lot of leads, a lot of influence, and also so people can really get a good feel about working with you. The person who's watching this video here is probably looking to become a marketer, looking to build a business online, which is something that Melissa and I have done, my wife Melissa and I have done since 1998, and here on Facebook since 2008. We've been on Facebook for 7 years and have created 7 figures on Facebook. So we can certainly teach you a few skills along the way here. So back to the training here. Specifically, we're going to discuss our first strategy here is your Facebook profile, the details. Now, as we get going here, I want you to look at this square over here. Now, I'm on my personal Facebook account here right now, and I want you to open up yours as well. And let's see what you have written here. What you have written here is so important as people come to learn who you are. You want to, now if you are, let me just say this, if you're part of a network marketing company, let's say you're part of company A or company M, you don't want to say that you're an employee at company A or company M. You want to say you're an owner at your own company, because you are. You are your own representative. So for example here, Melissa and I are the owners at Kevin and Melissa Knecht, and actually Kevin and Melissa Knecht, if you click on this link, actually goes to our fan page, which is beyond the scope of this training, but we'll cover that at a different time. But you want to have a fan page. Now, if you don't have one right now, that's okay. What you can do in the meantime is just say, hey, I'm the owner at Kevin and Melissa Knecht, and put that right there. I'm the CEO at workwithtoperners.com, which happens to be one of our URLs. I would recommend you do that as well, so people will think, oh, what's that? So they'll actually, of course, want to see what that is. And I also say on mine that I've been a dadpreneur since 1997 when I started working online full-time. My vision is to show dads that they can be the primary influence in their kids' upbringing. So put this stuff right up here, and when people come to find you, they'll be able to relate with you better if they know a little bit about you. And we covered in the last training about the cover photo, about the profile picture, so that's all right there. I would also recommend, if you went to college, put your college down. Put the year you graduated. Be authentic. It's okay. Yes, I graduated in 1992 in the Stone Ages. I actually got out of college before they had the internet, believe it or not. Actually, my 2 roommates, Scott and Rob, I remember this, they were computer science majors, which I thought was pretty nerdy back then. They were actually able to log into the library back when we graduated from college. I thought, how do you do that? That's crazy. Anyway, I'm getting off track already. Apologize for that. You want to put where you live. You know, we live in Sarasota, Florida. Now, technically, we live in a little town called Lakewood Ranch, Florida, but Sarasota, Florida is more relatable. I recommend you put a bigger town so more people can find you easier. You know, your spouse, obviously you want to put your spouse, and, you know, where you're from. You know, I grew up in a little town called Churchville, Pennsylvania, but I'm from the Philadelphia area, so I prefer that. That's up to you. And the way you change all of these, by the way, is you click this little button will kind of, when you put your mouse up over here, you can edit this, and then you can go right to these screens over here and play around here. You can add a professional skill if you want, add a college if you went to more schools. You know, I had my high school here as well. In my particular class, I actually went to a pretty big high school. There were 880 some students in my class in 1988. So, you know, a lot of my high school friends have found me over the years. So you want to make it easy for people to find you in this profile area. You know, you can list places that you've worked. You can click on all of these different family and relationships. If you want to add family members, like here's my son Tanner, here's my mom, my dad, one of my cousins wanted to add me on here. So you can do that. And I recommend, obviously, the name of the game is you want to be more relatable to more people so they can find you. So take the time to set this up. Now, I went really fast there, but there's a lot of detail you can take into that. And as you'll see here, I'm linked to my college. I'm linked to my town. I'm linked to my wife. I'm linked to my city. So take the time to set all of this up as you're going. Maybe pause the video right here and look at yours and see how you're doing so far. And then we can proceed to the next step. So I'll give you a second to do that. So press the pause button now and take care of that, okay? All right, you're back. Great. Now we're going to talk about your content, your actual content. And I put on the screen up here different times of the day of when I recommend you post. Now, I live in the Eastern time zone. I live here in Florida. Now, an interesting study is that, most Facebook users are actually, they're over 1 billion Facebook users, but still a large majority, maybe even a plurality, are here in the United States. And when you look at the time zones and where populations live, the biggest time zone probably on the planet is the Eastern time zone where New York City is located. So if you're, wherever you're watching this, I would recommend that you think in New York City time zone terms. London's another big time zone. Los Angeles is a big time zone. Sydney, Australia is a big time zone. Tokyo, Japan is a big time zone. There are different time zones around the world, but since probably most of the people watching here speak English and live near or somewhat familiar with the United States, I recommend you go on Eastern time, and you'll find that a lot of people log into Facebook as soon as they get to work in the morning, maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So if you have a fresh post Monday through Friday, you'll find that people will be looking for what you have to say because they're just going through their newsfeed. They'll click on home, and like here's my newsfeed right now, just scrolling through Facebook. What's going on here? Like here's my buddy Aaron Parkinson, Lorianne, here's Allie, here's Ken, here's Pete. Look at all this. I could just go on here. It will never stop. So as you see here, a lot of people have pictures in their newsfeed. It's really nice to, well, that's a nice picture. It's nice to have pictures in the newsfeed, and I wasn't going to stop at that one. But you see, obviously, some stand out more than others. And the ones that are just text, probably people will not stop. And then you'll see a video, like, oh, here's a video. Maybe I'll watch this video right here. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk about that here. And as you'll see, what's interesting is that as you scroll through here, you'll see some people focus on positive and some people, gosh darn it, focus on the negative. And over time, what I tend to do, if I find too many people, if I find the same person who's focusing on negative, then you can actually real simply just pick on a negative post. Let me pick on a negative post right here. Okay, here's somebody talking about the Democrats. I don't even know who this person is, quite frankly, but what you can actually do is if you go to this person's Facebook page, you can just click here and you can unfriend. Now, I'm not going to pick on Frank here. Frank may be watching. But I'm going to say you can really get rid of the negative Nellies in your Facebook world right there, just like that. Now, another tip, let's say, for example, Frank happened to be my brother, and I don't necessarily want to unfriend somebody in my family and cause family dynamics that are crazy. You can actually do something else here. You can stop following, so that way Frank's posts will no longer show up in my newsfeed. And the truth of the matter is I don't want that in my newsfeed. So Frank, if you're watching, put some positive stuff up there next time. That's my tip to you. Anyway, now here's Toby Black right here sharing Layla's photo. They just had a brand new baby. These guys are two of the most positive people you'll ever run into. So, you definitely want to make sure, like, oh, here's Toby. Yeah, friends of mine, following, definitely. So, you definitely want to look at that and take that into consideration. So post your content 8 a.m., 11 a.m. I recommend because that's the Western start of the day, 5 p.m. when people are on their way home from work, and 9 p.m. at night as well. Now, I mentioned 9 p.m. as a time because there are a lot of people who are online in the evenings, and people are online when they're watching TV. Maybe they're already in a home business and they're marketers and they're on training calls or they're on webinars. And believe it or not, this is something I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it. But a lot of people that I network with go to conference calls in the evenings or they go to webinars and they've got their Facebook open on one side. They're chatting over here on Facebook and they're watching a webinar over here. So knowing that, you might as well have some fresh content on Facebook. So when people are scrolling, they see your stuff. Just saying that. So 9 p.m. is a great time to post fresh content, okay? Second thing I'll talk about here is kind of like the spread. If you're going to post 5 times a day on Facebook, you want to have like 80% lifestyle interests and 20% is the pitch. For example, the pitch, you're actually going to put a link to your business if you have a home business. And I also recommend that you only do that once a day, maybe even only a couple of times a week. You don't want to be pitching all of the time, because the truth of the matter is it looks kind of spammy, and people will kind of get tired of it after a while. I mean, if they want what you have, they know how to find you. That's why when you set up your Facebook, you have Work with Top Earners up here, so when people are ready, they can just go there and click on that and type it into their browser, right? Okay, so what are some lifestyle interest kind of things? Like, for example, last night I put kind of a soft pitch. Here's a training I had for some of my team members, and I encouraged people, hey, watch the training. So that was my one pitch. Then I had content here. This was a really cool video about a drone that actually follows you around, which was kind of cool. Here's Alex and Anna. Here's me, a little bit of a lifestyle, a little bit of a health rant right here. Here's a little bit of another rant. So as you see, like 4 out of 5 posts are about content. Here's the family. One of the reasons why you see Alex and Anna on here quite a few times in the last week is that they just crossed $1 million. It was a milestone post, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. So shout out to Alex and Anna. I mean, these 2 years ago were working full-time in New York City, in Manhattan. They live in Brooklyn. They were commuting every day on the train, on the bus. I don't remember which one it is, but now they're both at home full-time, generating now 7 figures from home. Great friends of ours. Melissa and I got the chance to spend a few days with them up in New York last year around this time, as a matter of fact, and rode through Central Park with them. But he developed some great relationships online. So yeah, you see them online here quite a bit. Here's another topic. Are homeschooled and virtual school kids more socialized? We had a little bit of a discussion back and forth here. Look at this, 156 likes on this topic and 69 comments. A lot of people really commented on this. As you see, you go down here. And this is another great strategy. Shout out to our friend Tom, the furry hat guy. When you put a comment down here, if you really want to get people looking at who you are, put a picture in your comment like that. That really gets people. You see, otherwise, most people have text. You can really start to stand out. So write that down as another tip as well. Put a picture in your comments. It's a way to stand out there. Very good, Tom. What else do I want to say? So for other ways to engage with people, find friends to model. If you're not sure what to post, what am I going to post all day, Kevin? Find friends to model. So, if you're not sure what to post, if you're already in a home business, or people who are influential, find people to follow. For example, my friend David Wood is somebody I've been following for the last 3 years, and somebody I learned quite a bit from, actually. So I look at his posts to see what he's talking about, what he's speaking about, and sometimes I'll borrow some of his ideas and make them my own, but I kind of get a sense of where he's coming from. I look at my friends here now. I really follow quite a bit. Aaron is a friend, Justin's a friend, Alex is a friend. So, over time, you'll find people who have influence, and you can kind of see what they're doing and model your posts after that. Like-minded groups, there are so many groups you can join on Facebook. And if you're not sure, just start typing into the search bar up here. If you type in, for example, let's say you're in company A, the Amway company, right? You could just type in Amway, and you'll see all kinds of, Amway. Here's an Amway fan club in Thailand. Here's a public group with 2,200 members right here. I would say just by joining this group here, now I'm not in Amway, nor have I ever been, but you'll find with 2,200 members in here, there'll be a lot of people here who maybe think like you. So, if I click over here, I can actually see who some of the people are. And there are actually some people that I know. I just talked about Tom. I know Pat. I know Jacob. I know Kelly. I know some of these people here. They tend to put your friends up here first, but you can find people here to meet. Now, we're going to talk about that more in video number 3 on how to grow your Facebook page. But right now, we're just talking about finding people who have content. There's another thing on Facebook that's really cool. It's called trending stories. And I actually closed my sidebar before, so let me turn the sidebar back. Where is that? When I go to click on home, I think it's over here. Give it a second. There's this area when you click on home. First of all, there's an area called trending here that if you click on, these are the trending stories on Facebook. Now, I'm not saying that you want to read all of these. Some of these are pretty darn negative if you ask me. But some of these are pretty interesting stories. Like, for example, here's a story on here, Indiana Jones. Now, I happened to see this yesterday, so it's still here. Walt Disney World in Orlando is opening a bar that's kind of themed like the Indiana Jones bar. which is kind of cool. So if you click on that, you see all of these different stories about Indiana Jones. And you can find a topic that's appealing to you and start speaking on that. Now you can use hashtags on Facebook as well. For example, if I put hashtag Indiana Jones, it'll start to bring up everything that people have posted about Indiana Jones. So for example, here's the bar right here they're talking about. So maybe you want to take this, maybe you're like really the biggest Indiana Jones fan ever. So you can actually take this story and share it onto your Facebook wall. And you can actually type in, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. And maybe you want to share it with your kid who happens to be, a big Indiana Jones fan, right? Something like that. While we're also on the page here, let me remind you of one other thing. I just noticed this button down here. See this button called Public? When you make a post, you have a chance to make your post public to friends, or only me, or a customized or close friends. I would recommend that you make your posts public so people who are not your friend can find you. And also now Facebook is actually showing up. Your posts will actually get ranked on Google. So let's say you do make this post on Indiana Jones and you write this great post about how you're a fan and maybe you dress up for Halloween. This will actually get searched on Google. So somebody who's just minding their own business, looking for Indiana Jones and looking for something fun, may come across your link. So that's a way to put yourself out there. So make sure your posts are being posted in public. That would be my recommendation. Now, I will say this. I know some people get on the Facebook and they want to have like private things like, oh, I just want this photo to only be from my kids and my parents and my grandparents. And the truth is that may work, but over time, I'm not a big believer that anything stays private. So if you try to put it private on Facebook, there are ways to get around that. So just assume that if you post it, it's open to the public, and that's okay. Now, I wouldn't say go post a picture of your house and put your home address on there and put your social security number or things like that. But I will say this: just be cool. Just be cool, and you'll have a good experience. Okay. So just some ideas there. Trending stories. You can look through here, and some of the trending stories are good. Most of them are just kind of like news. It's just a way to get you to spend more time on Facebook, and it actually works. So let's see. We talked about find friends to model, joining like-minded groups, trending stories. The next thing I want to talk about here are live events. When you're on Facebook, take watching the Oscars, for example. I think the Oscars are on in February or March each year. I don't remember when it is. But that Sunday night, you could actually be on Facebook watching the Oscars, and maybe you're writing some things as other people are watching, and you can kind of get into these little conversations back and forth. Also, if you're a sports fanatic, you can, if you're watching your favorite football team or basketball or rugby or whatever your sport is, when a live event is on, maybe the Super Bowl is an example of this, people tend to be on Facebook tweeting, and it would be Twitter, of course, and you can engage. So if you're kind of up on a sports team, like I'm a huge Philadelphia Eagles and Phillies fan, for example. So when they're really good, I like to put posts on there, and I'll get some other fans to comment on there. It's just a way to kind of mix things up. So look for those live event opportunities. Something else I'd recommend is that you start engaging with others. Now we're going to talk more about this in video number 3, but right now, for example, that post that I had down here, the long post I had, where was the college one? Right here. I had 69 people who left a response here. So as I'm going through here, the thing you want to do that's really cool, like here's for example, here's a friend of mine from college, Sean Ambrose. Sean, I went to college with. We were both disc jockeys at the college radio station. He's a university professor now, and he actually homeschools his kids. So I actually wrote back to him when he left a comment here. I said, "Hey, you're a university professor, Sean. What a fascinating conversation we can have on this topic." I would recommend that when people leave you comments, respond back to them, engage with people, like what they have to say. There's a new feature on Facebook now where you can reply to most people's comments. So if there's something replyable, then engage, because that only increases, that will bring actually more people to the conversation. It also means that you're actually reading and responding, and people appreciate that. They're actually being noticed. So Sean's more likely to come back when I have some more topics and think, wow, Kevin actually heard what I had to say. It's a great way to engage and to build a following. That's one of the keys that you want to do, is to build a following. So, Yeah, for example here, so now I could go back to Sean's page over here and find some things to talk about. You know, does he have anything here in particular? I'm really looking. Let's see, I could just click on a like here. You know, what are some things right here? Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling through here real fast. Actually, I did engage right here. This was, here's his daughters going to their formal dance. So I said, you know, like you could just put something, hey, looking good. You know, just to leave an authentic comment, right? A little smiley face. You know, that take a couple of seconds. If you invest time doing that, now what that does is two things. Number one, it's you being a human being. But number two, now all of these people that are on here, let's say this guy Mark right here, who's not my friend, thinks, whoa, who's this Kevin Knecht guy? I don't know him. He could click on my screen here and think, what's that picture right there? And now he's clicking, and all of a sudden, now he's over here, now he's looking. It creates a viral sustainability. So the more comments that you're leaving with others throughout the week, you're opening the door for more people to come back to you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is celebrating birthdays. This is a big one. Facebook will give you a list every day of your friends who's having a birthday. So when you click on home, if you come over here to where it says birthdays, you can click right here and you'll get a full list of whose birthday it is today. So for example, you know, here's my friend Robin Firestone. I've known Robin for years. She's awesome. Now, Robin, I can click over here and look at that. Melissa actually just, isn't that funny? Melissa's out right now and she just says happy birthday to Robin. That's really kind of weird. I couldn't have predicted that any better. So Melissa just said happy birthday, Robin. And see this? Melissa actually posted a picture right here. Happy birthday, Robin. Took the time to write that. I know how she does that. She has a little program for that. But you know, that's really special. That shows up on the wall here. Now look at this. As you scroll down through here, a lot of people have said happy birthday to Robin here. And actually, I said happy birthday to Robin right after midnight when I was online late last night. See, somebody else has a Suzanne Kerwin. She's somebody else who's a great marketer. You know, she has a picture right here. And people remember that, you know. So take advantage of that when somebody has a birthday to connect with those people and, you know, and edify them a little bit. You know, I like to write to people something along the lines of, happy birthday, Robin. Hey, may this be the start of your best year yet. You know, let's connect soon. Something that sounds like you, that's a real comment. Now, if I say it to her, I can say that because she's a friend of mine. Now, if I say this to somebody I don't even know, that's not going to be nearly as authentic. So take a moment to do this. You know, put it on your calendar to do maybe at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, somewhere along the line. And it's also a great time now, as you get closer to having 5,000 friends and you're actually run out of friends, like the position I'm in actually right now, when I click on the birthday screen, another thing you can do is you can actually see, well, let's see, do I actually know all of these people? So for example, I'm looking down through here and I'm thinking, well, there's my cousin Pete. I know him. And I actually said happy birthday to him. Like, for example, I don't really know. I'm going to pick on somebody here and I apologize. I'm going to pick on Kevin Garver here. I don't even know Kevin. But hey, he's got my name, so I got to say, hey, happy birthday, Kevin. You know, something like this. And also, when you write somebody's name, if you put the @ sign right there and type Kevin, look at that. It pulls up all the Kevins on here, and I'll pull down Kevin Garver, and now I've got it highlighted right there. So he'll get a note that I sent him use his name, right? And I'll just put, great name, by the way. I mean, just to be yourself, be authentic, you know what I'm saying? And he'll probably be like, oh yeah, cool. You know, because the truth of the matter is it is a great name. You know, he'll probably appreciate that. So you're looking for opportunities to be yourself all day on Facebook. And he may be like, well, who's Kevin Knecht? And here's the thing is that people will come back and think, oh, wow, I haven't talked to Joe in 6 months. What's going on Joe's Facebook? I haven't talked to Jamie. What's going on with Jamie? So it's an opportunity for people to come back and see what you're up to. So definitely put an authentic birthday greeting out there, and you'll find people will come back to you. I talked about this a moment ago, chiming in on a conversation. When somebody's having a conversation on their Facebook wall, you know, you want to chime in there as well. So I'll go to Melissa's, you know, and you know, when she has a conversation going on here, you know, for example, she had this really funny video the other day. Love this comical view on not such a comical subject. And you know, here people left some comments, so I'm just going to like these. You know, even just by liking, that engages people. That gets people coming back sometimes. Like, here's Heather. She says, but seriously, the bastards. So I'll just put in here, that's putting it lightly. And again, when I put somebody's name on here, I'll put Heather on here. So now she's like, oh, Kevin wrote me a comment. I'm going to go see what Kevin's up to, you know? So that's a great way to engage further conversations back and forth, to keep people plugged in. So chiming in on conversations is great, but always come from a place where it's playful and fun. You're not doing it because you want people to come to your link. You're doing it because you want to engage and you want to be yourself and have fun. I mean, Facebook is such a fun place. There are so many great things to learn and so many great things to see. So let's keep it fun, okay? So chiming in on the conversation. And of course, when somebody responds to one of your posts, like I said, check him or her out as well. We're going to talk more about this in video number 3. So we covered everything I think I wanted to cover here. And again, the topic on this video, we would go back to the beginning. What kind of content should you be posting? And again, if you watched video number 1, which you better have, if you haven't, go back and watch it. Video 1 was all about being yourself, being authentic, coming from a place where you could be yourself. So here's the thing. When you show up in person, the last thing you want to do is be totally different than the way you've been on Facebook. I got to tell you this funny story real quick. My friend Erica, who I showed you in a different video, she's like me. She attends live events and she meets people from all around the world. She actually met a woman that joined her team, and it was really kind of comical. She was telling me this a few weeks ago. She said, wow, Kevin, you know, I engaged with her on Facebook. We're talking back and forth, and she came up to me at the event. I didn't even recognize her because she had actually put a picture of herself on when she was, I don't know, a lot younger or a lot thinner or something like that. And all of a sudden she wasn't. And I had this reaction that was like, oh my gosh. So, you know, you want to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Put your other people in the place where when they see you, they're like, Kevin, Melissa, wow, you look just like you did on Facebook. You know, and I get that all the time. And the cool thing is that when you do meet people in person, they'll realize, wow, I've been following you on Facebook. You're exactly the same. That's really what you want. Okay? So, on the next video, you know, you can put your pen down and put your paper, you know, refill your beverage. We're going to get back to work here on video number 3 coming up next. And we're going to talk to you specifically about how to grow your Facebook. Like right now, you may not have too many things going on, but I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to grow your Facebook. And then more importantly, how to grow your business. That'll be coming up in the next video. Appreciate you watching. It's Kevin Knecht. And stay tuned. Video number 3, click on the link below. You can watch it right now.